Hello, good evening. I welcome all our audiences to this IAI3 Edutalk session. And I also welcome our guest for this evening, Mr. Ravi Verma. Thank you so much for coming on to our show, Ravi.
Thank you for having me, Anjali.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So IAI3 Edutalk, these are basically conversations where we have invited people to come and share their expertise. Entrepreneurs, business people, professionals, and people from different careers. So we invited them to come and tell us what kind of training they took, what was their journey like, their educational evolution, as well as all the skills they picked up along the way. So from the time they started to the present time, they carried a lot of people along with them. And they also worked with their expertise and with real hard work. So for our young audiences who are students, we have called people from different backgrounds. People from the IT, from hardcore engineering, from coaching, as well as image consultants, cancer research professionals, and also editors and yoga gurus, and many, many more. So our mission was to tell people what are the different career options available to them, especially now that everything has gone digital. And our second vision was also to share the stories of very ordinary people. The mission and our vision was humanity helping people. So there were several people who started an idea and it became a huge community of helpers. Just like our local mohalla committees, they work with the ward office and so on and so forth. And so these two visions were the main ideas behind this IAI3 Edutalk, careers and humanity helping each other. This was the brilliant, most successful idea of our president, Dr. Neeta Parate. So folks, I'm Anjali Sanghvi. I'm a soft skills trainer and I am your host for this evening. It is a profound honor for me to introduce to you Mr. Ravi Verma. So he is a powerhouse, a stronghold, and a rock of Gibraltar for people in his own profession, the real estate sector. Now, Mr. Verma, he was born in Pune. Excuse me. He is an alumni of the Wadia College of Pune. He went on to studying marketing management and he worked as a marketing manager for 12 years. At that stage in 1986, he decided to join Mrs. Verma in the real estate consultancy firm, Realtors. After that, today he has 3 real estate consultancy firms and he also has a development company. Mr. Verma, he has been on the managing committee of the Estate Agents Association of Pune, and he is also the chairman for the last 7 years for the National Association of Realtors. He is on the advisory council for the RERA Act, which is under the Ministry of Urban Development under the Government of India. And Mr. Verma has been in the Rotary. He was a Paul Harris member from the Rotary Club of Birmingham. So many feathers in his cap. And he is also a member of the Maratha Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the infrastructure section. So once again, Mr. Verma, we welcome you to our show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for those flattering introduction. Yes, I'm all yours.
Yes, Ravi, you have been in the real estate sector for 40 years, almost
right.
40 years.
That's right.
So, our audiences, and we would really like to know that starting from that time till now, what were the changes, the procedures, the systems, financial legalities in 40 years that you have experienced and seen? Please do tell us.
So Very quickly, my company is 40 years old and I joined my wife 5 years later. So I've been in the business 35 years.
Yes.
And almost from the beginning of my career in this field, I have been involved with organizing the field,
Right.
making it transparent and responsible to the consumer, and by doing so, offering the best experience in buying and investing in properties since 1986. You did ask me that how the financial markets have and the legalities have changed
Yes, yes.
over the years. When we joined this business, it was a virtual free for all. There were hardly any checks and balances, and people were not held responsible for digressions from the contracted agreements.
Okay.
So to give you an example, that if you said on an agreement that you would give a flat in 3 years and you did not give it for 7 years or 8 years, there was no consequence
Oh, I
to
see.
it.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you said that you would give the following amenities and did not do it, there was no consequence to it.
Yes.
And likewise, in every aspect of the transaction, there were transgressions, there were defaults, which went uh, uh, unseen and unpunished, for want of a better word.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there was no consequence to it. But that started changing when the government brought in a few laws, and the most game-changing one was the most recent 2016 RERA Act, which made every developer responsible for what he was to give
Right.
to the consumer.
Yes.
So there were model agreements, there were checks and balances, and if you now defaulted, you would be taken to the cleaners. That if say you were to give a flat in 3 years and you don't give it for 4 years, then from the 3rd year and 1st day, your penalty would be 5,000 rupees a day, up to 5% of the project cost or the cost of the product.
Very high.
And if you did not pay that 5%, it would become 10%. And then if you did not pay that 10%, it would become, you would become liable to go to jail. So,
very stringent.
So this is how it has become very transparent, accountable, and responsible to the consumer business.
Right.
On the financials, 35 years ago, you did not get a loan for buying your flat for more than 1 or 2 years. Today, you can get 15, 20 years a loan, because the financial markets have become more sophisticated, and they know that now if you give a loan against a flat, that delivery is likely to happen, and more times than not. So there's the incidence of default has reduced greatly.
Yes, yes.
And is likely to continue to do so in the future.
Oh, okay, okay. I think that was a nice check to put in place. A little stringent, but I guess it must be working. And Ravi, it's your passion to organize the realty sector, and you started doing this in 2 decades, and you're still working on it. You're the chairman of the NAR India Committee. How did this start?
So we started organizing ourselves in 1987 at the local level. we wanted to have a body of realtors or real estate consultants or agents or brokers. There are various names for the same thing, which gave end-to-end service to their clients. That is from the inception, inspecting a flat to being present at every meeting, seeing that the agreements were drawn up in a proper manner, signed and registered, uh, and then following up with the manufacturer to see that the product was as it is supposed to be with the correct specifications and the amenities as promised.
Yes.
Also, after sales service and the specifications were as they were in the contract. So since 1987, we started that. And then we scaled it up to every city in the country. Now we are in 45 cities. And we have a set of code of ethics protocols which ensure that there is a level playing field for the consumer as well as our members who can give multi-city solutions to their clients.
Right.
So sitting in Pune, for example, if I have a client like Pizza Hut, they won't want me to find places for them only in Pune. They normally tend to tell you that in the following 10 cities, we require the places. Now, if there is no set of rules and regulations for us to interact between ourselves in the industry, it would not be possible for me to give this kind of a service. So we scaled ourselves up in 45 cities, and to get the best training in the world,
Right.
we tied up with National Association of Realtors USA, which is the largest trade body in the world, with 1.5 million brokers as their members.
Yes.
And we got all our initial 5-6 years of training for our members
From them.
from NAR India, USA.
Yes.
Subsequently, they trained the trainers, and we formed our own training institute called India Institute of Real Estate Education.
Oh,
Where
I see.
Yeah, so whether it is today, everything is IT based.
Yes.
Right? So we train our members in legalities, in municipal laws, in national laws that affect our industry, in how to use technology and social media to market ourselves, because you will see that people are using traditional media like newspapers and all very little now. Everything is you're either on the net or you're out of business. So to do that, all our members had to skill up and do that on a continuous basis, which is done by arranging the best in the field. And we have tie-ups with ISB Hyderabad. We have a tie-up with IIM Bangalore for training our members on a continuous basis on the best practices required in the industry.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful to get some kind of an educational evolution, in this field. Very nice. And Ravi, supposing if a person wants to buy property or business premises, land, what are the aspects they should keep in mind?
So there are many aspects to this question that you've asked me.
Yes.
If you want to buy land, you have to buy land with a lawyer.
Okay.
You cannot go and buy land. You're more likely to come to grief than to have a fair deal.
Right.
Like I have explained many times in various forums, land titles in India tend to be very dodgy because we do not register birth, we do not register marriage, we do not register divorce. So how would you know who is entitled to the land?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Even if a person is an illegitimate child, the person is entitled to his or her share in a land. Now, when you don't register this, And outside of our major cities, it is a free for all where anything goes. Marriages are not registered, births are not registered. There is no registration office. You have 7 lakh villages in this country. So, and most of the land are from villages that surround large cities. All statistics show that 60% of the Indians in the next 10 years are going to live in urban centers. So there's a lot of land becoming available through rural areas. So you need a lawyer to advise you. You need to give a public notice, go through due diligence. Same kind of process has to be followed if you buy anything that is in resale, whether it is a commercial property or a shop, an office, a logistics center, whatever it is. If you are buying anything that is in resale, you must know whether there is any lien on it, whether there was any loan taken. So there is a public notice required there too. There is a search report to be attached.
Right.
Yeah. So which search, normally you go back 30 years. Nowadays, they want you to go back a lot longer. Okay.
Wow.
So these are some of the basics. And of course, when anybody gets a little more interested, picking a right lawyer who can walk you through this process, and picking a right agent or realtor who can guide you in the right manner, will kind of, for a small fee, will kind of make things safer for you.
Safer, that's true. But that's nice. And then in the olden days, traditionally, when people had saved little money, they used to either buy gold or silver, or they would buy land. So would you advise people, because the price of real estate has gone through the roof, would you advise people to buy property as an investment?
Actually, this is a question that is an eternal question. So normally what people do is they have a basket of investments, where some part of it is gold, some part of it is land and property, and some part of it is shares. And the bourses in the country. Now, land is the safest investment if you have a clear title land, and it appreciates the most in the real estate basket of investments.
Okay.
Next is shops or retail. So your appreciation after land is likely to be most in retail shops, and then offices, and last is residential, because now there is a plethora of supply of residential products in the market. Because of the way the government has gone about it, they have made it very easy to build, and particularly in the affordable sector. And then, of course, even in the high end, land is the most liquid and appreciates most, and in the hierarchy that I have told you. The next thing is logistics. You can, if you invest in logistics today, you will make a ton of money. And then there is these fractional investments, that you take a good property, you cannot buy it yourself. Says you buy a building in BKC in Bombay. You can't buy it yourself. It is totally rented. So there is a product called REIT. You can list that product on the stock market, and many people, thousands, can own it as a fraction of an investment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So these are some of the possibilities in real estate. Gold continues to be a good investment, but you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So gold and silver, and then the physicality of it is there. Real estate is not as liquid as gold or silver.
That's right.
You have to wait a bit to liquid, to sell it.
But it's nice that people can buy in a group. Many people can buy property together.
That's
So
right.
that's also nice because the investment may not be that high.
That's right. Then, so it can be in multiples of as the product that I told you. If it is listed on the stock market,
Yes.
it's begun to happen in India now in the last few years. Or you can, there are many products which are in multiples of 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs used to be considered a large sum a few years ago. Now it is supposed to be an affordable sum for most people.
Right.
So you can buy a fraction of a property in that.
Okay, great. So, there are lots of new and interesting trends in the rental market, Ravi. I would like to ask your views. There are these people who sell experiences like Airbnb or homestays, or they have people who hire property for nature treks, or they go and conduct classes inside a cave. So, how is the rental market looking these days?
So if you want to see all kinds of products that are available on the residential uh, vertical of real estate, you don't have to look further than Goa. So there you can get Airbnb, you can get a bungalow on rent, you can get a property, a home for a small home for a short while.
Yes.
You can get a shack, you can get all kinds of products. The other ones that are, because the populations, urban populations are very mobile now, so you have um, co-living as an option. That is, you need not buy an apartment all the time. You can choose people you can live with, and you can buy an apartment and live together. And these are done in a very nice way. Whole buildings are used for co-living and with all facilities downstairs. So you have a full service laundry. You have F&B, many options, and so on and so forth. So similarly, students want to live better. So there is student housing. The professionals want to live there. Then there is something for you and me. There is senior citizens homes. So there are various options.
Yes. Very interesting activities. Chess and carol
So there are
cards.
many ways that people are catering to every need of evolving needs of populations that are living longer, and youngsters who are very mobile.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Ravi, would you like to share with us your work that you have done as an advisory council member for the RERA Act?
So what we do is we are the voice of realtors as far as the government of India is concerned.
Okay.
Term realtor is very wrongly used in India. The builders also call themselves realtors. Actually, the term originated in US. A real estate broker who was member of a professional organization and was held responsible for every act of theirs, which was a professional act, would be called a realtor. And they have registered it. You will see in the background, I have a R behind my head. And that I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors, US 2.
Okay.
And I can call myself a realtor legally. So even people who build homes in India call themselves realtors. So the point is that, yes, we came into this line. I was a professional. I was doing reasonably well. My wife was a trained social worker. But we thought that we can do a lot more if we had financial stability and wealth of our own.
Right.
So this is one field I recommend to anybody. You can start from home. All you have to do is to have a RERA license.
Right.
Yeah. At the advisory council, what we do is we encourage everybody to register. So once you are registered, you also are regulated. And today, there is some basic knowledge has to be there of the industry. Earlier, that this was not there.
Okay.
So unless you pass those exams, you will not become a broker or a realtor. Okay. So then you get a license for 5 years.
Yes.
And then for renewing the license, again, you have to pass an examination.
Oh, that's
That
nice.
examination is designed by my association.
Okay.
We are one of the people who do that under Indian Institute of Real Estate Education. We also look at difficulties that people face in dealing across the country. Say,
Yes.
Typically, if you are in the north and you are in NCR and you have a client. So today, NCR consists of parts of Haryana, UP, Rajasthan. So if I have to show something in Gurgaon, I need to register with Rajasthan, Haryana, sorry. Yeah. If I have to show something in Manesar, I have to register with Rajasthan, Noida, UP, Faridabad. So I need 5 licenses just to operate in and around Delhi. Likewise, so we tell the government, look, this is untenable, and that you should have one license for one nation, throughout the nation.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So also things like GST is 18%. So when for every lakh that you get, 18,000 rupees goes to the government.
Very
The
nice.
customer has to pay.
Yes.
So these are things that still require a little lobbying. Being on advisory councils means that you have to indulge in a bit of lobbying. Also give feedback to the government, and this particular government is fairly responsive.
Yes.
That give feedback that how the laws are working for the people or not working so well. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. So they'll take cognizance of it. They might make things
Yes.
easier. So that's really wonderful. In fact, that was my next, question to you, that if a young person wants to take up real estate as his work, career, profession, so and you already said that there's so many.
So yeah, it doesn't require too much money to start.
Yes.
In fact, we also started from home until
Right.
we have multiple offices now.
Yes.
And we have offices across the country too.
Okay, wonderful. Fantastic.
So you can start from home. We had virtually no money. When I say no money, I actually mean no money at all. So
it's a familiar story, Ravi. It's a familiar story.
So everybody can do this. This is what I'm
Yes.
saying. That what you need is an absolute sense of ethics. It's a 24/7 business. You have to enjoy working with people.
Yes.
You should be in this business only if you enjoy working with people.
Yes.
Because there are no Sundays, there are no Saturdays. There is no half days. So your client, just when over a weekend, most clients want to see properties. That's the time you want to put the legs up. So,
yes.
So you need to enjoy the process and enjoy the profession and to be in it, and you'll be successful. Just work methodically as we do. Customer satisfaction has to be on the top of your organization chart, and you will definitely succeed.
Yes, that's right. And now the future, Ravi. What do we, every inch of real estate space has been bought up or is being developed. So maybe people will start selling property in Mars or some outer space planet, because I mean, what are your views about the future?
Future is extremely bright for a country like India.
Okay.
Because we are still at a very initial stage of development. To give you an idea, that there are more people living in slums in major cities than living in organized homes. So they all need housing. At any given time, we are between 19 and 20 million units of housing short as a nation.
Oh, I see.
So we have a long way to go on every front. And as we develop, we'll need offices, we'll need retail space, we'll need hospitality. So on every vertical of real estate, we are at a very early curve as a developing country. We are, say, $2.5 trillion economy today. Maybe if you measure the unorganized sector, it might be $3 trillion economy. And we are talking of 5 trillion in another 2-3 years.
Yes.
Now, for a nation of 1.5 billion people or 1.3 billion people, it's not too much at all, considering that your average income of per person is very low. So we have a long way to go. Lot of excitement in the sector. It is one of the primary drivers of an economy. Housing.
Okay.
Is a primary driver. It used to be, before the pandemic, we used to be 12.5% of the GDP of the nation. We are about 7% today.
Okay.
So that will give you an idea that there's a long way to go.
Long way.
Most developed countries, US, for example, is 18.5% of the GDP of the nation.
Oh, okay.
The real estate.
Maybe that's a positive thing, that there is a lot of growth expected.
Possible, yeah.
Right? It was so nice, so insightful what you told us, Ravi. We really had an education. Because there's so many things we don't come to know, because there are laws and there are bodies and there's so much involved when you have to check up when buying property. So it was so nice of you first thing to come, and it was so educated. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We do hope that you will come again onto our show.
Anytime you say.
Really.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you so much. Thank you.